What's up, everybody? My name is Jailan Williams, and you're watching Sunfire Films TV.
Today, I got a guy with me. When I think about him, a few things come to mind, like a person who is a true lover of music, a person that is a student of the game. You know, he always wants to get better and progress. And when I also think about him, I think about somebody who's multi-talented. You know, he wears many hats. A guy that he's playing the guitar, he's playing the keys, the trombone. He might even play the flute like Andre 3000. I don't know. You know, he's producing. He even has a podcast, or he's part of a podcast, and you know, he allowed me to come on his platform, and I greatly appreciate that. You know, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk. I'm gonna learn even more things about him that I don't even know yet. I got with me Jailan Williams.
Hey, glad to be here, man. Thank you so much, man, for that introduction, man. That was awesome, man. Beautiful, man. Really appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man. So, I mean, I guess we can go back from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're not from here, right? So,
right, that's correct.
Florence?
Yes, sir.
Florence, South Carolina. Okay. Mm-hmm. So just talk about those younger days, man, growing up in Florence.
Yeah, man. So Florence, that's where I was born and raised. So, you know, it's about 2 hours from Charleston, and majority of my family is from Florence. Okay. I have family from Florence and Darlington, South Carolina. If you know where that is, it's like maybe like 30 minutes from Florence. And born and raised in Florence, graduated from high school there, and so around when it came to the music.
Hold on, you're going too fast.
Okay, all right.
So, you grew up in Florence. You have brothers, sisters?
Yeah, man. I got a younger brother. He is in college right now. He's a student at Tuskegee University.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. So, like, what was the life like growing up in Florence, man? Like, I don't think I've ever even been there. So, like, what's life like?
Yeah. Honestly, man, you're not missing too much.
No?
I mean, it's not like some hick town or anything like that, but there's not really... there's not as much to do as there is here in Charleston, I will say that.
Right.
I mean, there's some nice restaurants. There's some community type of events that go on throughout the year. Like there'll be, the county fair, the Pecan Festival,
right.
Different events and things like that. And that's pretty much it, man. Yeah. There's not really, if you're somebody who's my age, like in their 20s, or even in like your teenage years, I wouldn't go to Florence to have fun.
Right. So what were you doing as a kid?
As a kid, man, I was spending a lot of my time, you know, of course, with my family, my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and spending time with friends and going to school. So like, I grew up in the suburbs, so a lot of my time spent with friends was just, you know, outside playing basketball, riding bicycles or whatever, or I don't know, getting on the trampoline at one of the friends' crib or whatever, something like that. Yeah. You know, just wholesome fun.
Normal kid stuff.
Normal kid stuff that,
back
you know,
in the day.
Kids nowadays, they probably don't know nothing about that.
Right. So were you already into music when you were a kid?
No, man. So I didn't get involved in music until I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
And I say that because a lot of people think that, you know, I was born doing music, or I was doing music since I was like 5 or 6 years old. But no, I didn't start doing music till I was 12 because I started when I was in middle school. I was a student at Southside Middle School.
Okay.
And my mom, she signed me up for band. Truth be told, I had no interest in doing band. I was like, well, why would you sign me up for that?
Trying to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, because at the time, you know, I really had a big appreciation and love for basketball. Like Kobe Bryant was like my sports hero growing up.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I want to play basketball. And then I started doing band, and my mom was like, well, I mean, just try it. Because she just signed me up just because she just wanted me to try it. She didn't think that, you know, I would do music now.
Yeah.
But she was just like, just try it. And then so I did it for a year. The first instrument I started learning was the trombone.
Okay.
And after like a year in middle school doing band, I was like, I actually like this. So I'm gonna come back the next year. I'm gonna do it again.
Okay.
And then from there, I just kept, gravitating towards music. And then I did marching band in high school.
High school.
I went to South Florence High School. That's where I graduated in 2017. And then I taught myself bass guitar at 16. Am I going too fast or you want
Nah, you
okay.
good.
Yeah, so I started teaching myself bass guitar at 16.
Okay.
And that came about because at this point, I'm like really enjoying music.
Okay.
And growing up, music was always a big thing in my family.
Right.
But like I said,
before you even go on,
I was gonna say, because we can get into a whole discussion about that.
So like, what was some music that you were growing up listening to in the environment that you were in?
Yeah, so I was listening to a lot of R&B. Like my dad, he put my brother and I onto a lot of R&B classics.
Okay.
So
Like who?
Usher,
Okay.
Mint Condition. That's like my favorite band ever.
Okay.
Neo, Chris Brown. We heard Tony Tone, another old school R&B. So like Cameo. So many, man. And that's where, when I was young, I always had an appreciation for music.
Right.
But I didn't think about pursuing it until later on.
Years later.
You know what I'm saying? So like the love for music was always there.
Right.
Because I just loved music. Like I loved listening to it. And on my mom's side, listening to a lot of gospel music. So like Mary Mary, Fred Hammond, Marvin Sapp, all of that stuff. And then of course, going to church,
Going to church.
I would, always hear music, hear the choir, hear the musicians and all of that. And also in my family, my dad in high school, he had a band. So my dad was a musician as well. Cool. He sung in his band. He also played bass. And I think he played a little bit of guitar as well.
Okay.
And my aunt on my mother's side, she's a singer and she sings in the church. And her husband, my uncle, he's a musician as well. And my grandmother on my mom's side, she sung in the church too. So like,
it was around.
Yeah, at the time I didn't really think about
it
like that. I was just like, music is just
around. It was just normal every day.
And it wasn't until I started pursuing it, I'm like, whoa, like I actually have people in my family that do music.
Yeah.
And so, take it back to learning bass guitar. I always wanted to like learn guitar. Like at the time. You just
taught yourself.
Yeah. So at first I wanted to teach myself either acoustic or electric guitar. And I told my dad, because he had an acoustic guitar sitting in the house. And at that point in time, I was like, hey Dad, like I want to learn acoustic guitar because it's just something I always want to learn. And then, he was like, okay, do you want to learn guitar or do you want to learn bass guitar? And he was like, because if you learn bass guitar, it'll be an easier transition. Because with trombone, if you're a musician and you know how to read music, trombone uses
bass.
The same range of notes or that a bass would use. It's all on the bass clef.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I'll learn bass. And then I just started teaching myself because I could already read the music. I could already read the notes. So then it was just about really developing my ear. And that's where thinking about all the music that I was listening to growing up, going back and listening to those records, trying to, emulate those bass lines that I heard and watching a bunch of videos of legendary bassists like Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, Louis Johnson, a bunch of others, and saying, okay, like, how can I, mold my craft now, and then I can get into, how that eventually went over into me in college, but I wanted to give you time. Like, did you?
Right, go on. We in college now.
Okay, yeah. So we're in college now.
College of Charleston.
College of Charleston. That's
why did you pick Charleston, and why did you pick College of Charleston?
That's a good question. So I chose College of Charleston because when I enrolled in College of Charleston, At first, it wasn't to be a musician or a producer or a business exec in music. It was to really be a music therapist.
Okay.
Because when I was 16, I knew that I wanted to do music.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know how. I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with music.
Yeah.
And at the time, I knew I had a love for music, but I also thought I maybe wanted to be a psychologist of some sort. Because my mom, she is a therapist, behavioral health therapist. So that kind of admiration for that came from her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, so I like psychology, you know, I like studying the brain and all of that.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoy music, so why not combine the two and do music therapy?
Right.
And when I got to college at Charleston, I realized that later my freshman year that that's not really what I wanted to do. Because at the time, I was really about to double major. I was about to double major in music and double major in psychology.
Wow.
Not knowing that, yo, I'm going to be here for a while if I do that.
That's a lot of work.
I'm going to be here for a while if I do that. And
yeah.
So I just kind of sat. There was two things that happened. So I met this guy who I'm good friends with. His name is Jeremy Hobbs. His stage name is Tamaski.
Hold on, I'm stop you real fast. This is a question I gotta ask you before you continue. Did your parents like support what you wanted to do? Yeah. Because some parents they don't. So I was just wondering because like your mom did therapy, so she probably enjoyed that you had that on your mind, and your dad did music. So I guess that was one of those things that they were like, yeah, we believe in that and we kind of support that.
Absolutely, yeah. My parents, they were very much supportive of my dreams and what I wanted to do.
Still?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still to this day. My mom and my father, they both are very, very supportive of my dreams and my brother's dreams. Okay. And my parents are divorced.
Okay.
So they're not they're no longer married. They don't live together. But they didn't let that stop them from supporting my brother and I, making sure that we were set up to be successful.
Okay.
And so with the music, there was two things that happened my freshman year of college that made me just go, yo, let's just go all in with music.
Okay.
So I met this guy, artist by the name of Tamaski. His real name is Jeremy Hobbs. He graduated from College of Charleston as well.
Okay.
And I remember going on the College of Charleston webpage and seeing this slim, tall, black guy with locks and how, he's pursuing a career in music and how he's, met successful people in music like Usher, etc. And I was like, I need to find a way to get connected with him. And it was one random day on campus. I was just walking campus and I saw him, and he was so easy to spot out because there was nobody at College of Charleston at the time who wore all black, wore like a black leather jacket, had locks, and was riding around on a hoverboard.
Right.
So I was like, hey, yo, man, I saw you on the webpage, man. And I was like, how did you, get to where you are like really pursuing your career in music? And that's when we connected. And, he introduced me to some of his people. We got in the studio. And then he told me about something that changed the trajectory of my, I guess you could say, college path or career at College of Charleston. So, and that was arts management. That was, that's what I got my bachelor's in, arts management. And my concentration being in the music industry. So what that basically meant was I went to College of Charleston and I studied, the business of arts administration. So like how our nonprofit arts organizations ran, how do they operate? And then I also studied the history of the music industry. I studied the business of the music industry. Okay. And then once I had my hands on that and I was connected with that, and I was like, okay, I know what I want to do now. I know that I want to be a musician. I want to perform. I want to make records. And I also want to have ownership in the music industry.
Yeah.
Because the you can be a musician and you can do that, but a lot of musicians don't understand the business of the music. And if you don't understand the music business, it's very easy to be either taken advantage of or, feel like you're
broke.
broke, feel like you're not where you want to be in your career. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take full advantage of this opportunity. So I majored in arts management, and I still have my minor in music. So I was still getting that education in like how to create music and all of that. Because I took 2 years worth of piano classes, took some theory courses, and that was pretty. And then from there, graduated College of Charleston in 2021, and after that, I just hit the ground running, man. I was like, all right, I'm out of school now, so I want to put everything that I learned to test. Like I wanted to say, yo, I got my degree, I'm proud of my degree, and I'm using it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people that go to college and get a degree can't say that. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So
I went to Full Sail, so I know more people who don't use their degree than do. So I definitely understand that.
So you get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
man, it was really just about knowing what I'm passionate about, knowing what I love, and being very, very intentional and strategic about the decisions that I made.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you may hear a lot of people my age say.
Yeah, that's a good thing though, man. Like, I mean, we all, I don't want to say figure it out, but we all figure it out at certain ages, man. I mean, most younger people, they still want to party and go out and do all these different things, but I feel like it's super cool, man, that like, you know what you want to do. And you are younger than most people before they figure that out. And that's a cool thing, man. And then if you stay on this path, you'll be ahead of the game.
Exactly. That's how I thought about it, man. Because my freshman year, like when I was strictly just a music major, I spent a lot of my time practicing, like in the practice room. And like it would be like nights where I'm in the practice room till like midnight and then go home and then go back to my dorm. It may be like a Friday night. And if there's a party going on, I'll still go to the party. And then the next day, Saturday morning, I'm in the library doing my studies. And then, finish up that, may have time to go chill with friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also while I was in college, I was a bassist for a church, Mount Zion AME Church. So, and
Mount Zion, what's that, Mount Pleasant?
That's Mount Zion AME Church. That's on Glebe Street, downtown Charleston.
Okay.
So I was doing that freshman year, playing for a church, studying music, and just getting acclimated to college life.
Yeah.
And then sophomore year, changed my major from music to arts management and just minored in music, and still was a bassist for the church. And then I became a member of my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and then and still involved in like different other organizations on campus. So I had to be very, very intentional about my time.
You had to.
I had to. So like that was instilled in me since I was young. Like when I was young in school, I used my agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like how they gave us an agenda. I don't even know if they still do this, but they gave us an agenda in elementary school, and like you use that to keep up with all your assignments and things like that. And then when I got to college, I had a planner. I still use a planner to this day, and I started using my phone to like put in my calendar events and stuff that I have going on, because I was doing a lot. Like I was still finding a way to make music, keep up with my grades, be a part of my fraternity, be a part of other organizations, and still find time to hang out with my friends. So I learned early on about being organized and being intentional with my decisions.
So was that just from having that in school, or was that like something your parents taught you?
I think it was both, because my parents, they made sure that my brother and I, we took care of our responsibilities, and that was going to school, studying, making sure we got good grades, because there was no doubt. My mom said, y'all going to college. Y'all going to college.
Yeah.
She was like, y'all going to college. If we decided to do something else, she probably still would have supported us, but she really wanted us to go to college. I wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
And so did my brother. So it's like we were in lockstep about that. But she didn't. She was very, very serious and adamant about y'all go to school and know what you're in school for. And,
Right.
and so was my father. And that just stuck with me, man. Just prioritizing. Like I just, and like, you know, I have friends like when I was in college, even now, some people are like, bro, like, you don't even act like you're 24. Like you act like a grown man who's just, you know, hustling and just on the move, getting things done. I'm like, that's just how I've been molded.
Yeah.
Like that's just in me now at this point.
That's a good thing, man. Like I don't want to say I wish because everything kind of happens the way that it happens. I mean, I was lucky enough to know what I wanted to do, but still took those years to get the playing and messing around out of my system.
Yeah.
So, you know, like over the years, like sometimes, like I look back at like a couple friends that I went to college with and they were more how you were. Like they knew exactly what they wanted to do. They got out of college, they got an internship, they got a job, and like years later, like they're doing exactly what they said they wanted to do. And then you had some people who don't do anything with their degree at all. And then there's people like me who like, I never fell off, but you know, I took those years to, you know, do kid stuff too.
Right.
And you know, like I look back and I'm like, yeah, I'm at where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
you got to
man.
get those things out of your system.
Yeah, man. And like, don't get me wrong, bro. I enjoyed all 4 years of college. Like I enjoyed it. If I had to do it all over again, I would still choose college at Charleston. I would still choose college at Charleston because not only did, you know, I meet great people, like friends that I still talk to. I got connected more with my passion for music, and I mean, became a member of my fraternity, greatest fraternity in the world, and I felt like for what I wanted to do, Charleston was a great place to start. You know, because Charleston, a lot of people don't think about it, but like Charleston has a lot of talent here.
It does.
As far as far as music, the arts, everything. Like there's so much talent here, and I was like, you know, like I want to immerse myself in all of this, like the art scene, the music scene here in Charleston, and that was a big reason why we can get into this later. Why my friend and I we started our podcast, Just Music, but because there's just so much value here, and I was like, yeah, man, I know exactly what I want to do. I got a plan, and I'm gonna make sure I execute that plan. So, yeah, man, I tell people, yo, like, hey, make the hard decisions now. Make the hard decisions now, because you know, I got mentors, I got people, you know, much older than me, but are living the lifestyles that I want to live.
Right.
And they're like, yo, while you're young, make the hard decisions. Like, cut out all the distractions and just get down to business. Like, prioritize, man. Because, you know, people, I've talked to people and they're like, yeah, I'll go pursue that when life starts to slow down. I'm only 24, but life has not slowed down at all.
It's not going to, bro.
So I'm
It's
like,
not going to.
when does that happen?
It
when does
doesn't.
life slow down, you know?
And then if you have a wife or a husband and kids, and it's not going to slow down.
Right. And
Do
I'm
it
like,
now.
I don't have no kids. I'm not married. And, you know, while I don't have those responsibilities, I'm gonna make sure I get mine. I'm gonna make sure, you know, I get my bread and I achieve things that I want to achieve, and that I bring people with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's how success and progress happens, is helping other people. It's not just about me. It's bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, bro, like, while you're on this earth, man, and every day you are blessed with waking up, go do something, man. Go do something, man. Like don't don't waste the gift, the blessing that is life, because there's a lot of people who are out here living lives of quiet desperation.
What's going on, guys? Sun5 Films here. If you live in Charleston or the surrounding areas and you need a videographer, please let me know. Whether it's a wedding, corporate event, live performance, I do a little bit of everything. So once again, please let me know. Now let's get back to the interview. You're watching Sun5 Films TV. So how has life been now that you're out of college?
Life has been good, man. I mean, I can't complain. Like, I'm blessed. I'm not exactly where I want to be. You know, I'm not complacent. I'm not satisfied. But I'm moving in the right direction for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just staying focused.
So are you doing just music, or are you working another job, or is it just full-time music?
Yeah. So right now I am doing music. So like I have my own band, the JP band. JP stands for Just Play Great Music. Mm-hmm. And like we gig around downtown Charleston, different hotels, different venues and things like that. And we got a lot of gigs coming up in the coming months. Very excited about that. And then, excuse me, also playing at a church. I'm a keyboardist for a church in the Charleston area, and still making music. Last year, I put out a beat tape called The Resume, mm-hmm. and that was like a producer tape for me because I really wanted to showcase, you know, my skills as a producer and show people that, you know, I play instruments, I sing, but I also, you know, make beats. You know what I'm saying? Like I love the production process in music, and then you know, working with other artists producing beats for them, and I do still work a job. You know, I'm at the Gilliard Center, like a house and venue manager there, so helping out with that. Yeah, and then teaching music, man. Working with young musicians, teaching keyboard, trombone, bass guitar, and just being an entrepreneur, man. Being an entrepreneur in the business world and in music. I feel like if you're a musician and you really about your music and like leveraging the business and making good money off it, you're an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of musicians don't think about it like that. They just thinking about, you know, making the music. Like you gotta think about the business too, man.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, like, it's just even hard to go from that bedroom, mm-hmm. that basement, to even getting out there to gig. And then it's even harder to quote unquote make it. So I think people, they just think so much about trying, mm-hmm. that the business isn't even on their mind. Because a lot of times we don't ever even quote unquote make it. So how can you think about the business when you don't even know if you're going to make it with the music? So I think that's what it is a lot of times. Yeah. But that's something I had to learn too, that, you know, everything is a learning process. You know, you have to learn your craft, and you have to learn the business as well, because that's the thing that's going to keep you around. That's the thing that's going to keep money in your pocket and take care of your family. And then you look back and you're like, I can survive off of these things. Exactly,
man. I tell me and keyboardist in my band, man, who's also just a really good friend of mine, or Jorge Chocobar, fantastic musician, also just a really good guy. So last year, in 2023, like during the summer of 2023, that's when we formed the band. Mm-hmm. And I remember October of last year, we were booked up pretty much the entire month. And we had like a gig like every weekend. Mm-hmm. And I remember me and Jorge getting out, and we was like, yo, we're gonna go to, it was Hotel Bennett. We was like, we're gonna go to Hotel Bennett, see if we can get a connection there and say, hey, we're musicians. We would love to play here. Who do we talk to? Right. And then from there, we got a connection. And then I also reached out to a connect that I already had. And was like, hey, do you know anybody that's over here? And you're like, yeah, let me put in a word for you. And then boom, we were at Hotel Bennett in October. So I think we did that. I think we got out and met folks in either August or September. But I say all that to say is a lot of people, musicians and people in general, they don't want to get out and do the legwork, and do the soft skills. Yeah. Master the soft skills. You know what I'm saying? Meeting people, shaking hands,
kissing
man.
babies.
Shaking hands, talking to people, negotiating, you know, building relationships. Yeah. Because that's how you create good business. That's how you create success, man.
Yeah. People seeing you talking to them face to face.
Exactly.
Like, we live in this social media world where, like, I'm a little bit older than you, but, you know, I was passing out flyers, putting them on car windshields, you know, like, I was putting up stickers all over cities and passing out CDs in malls and doing stuff like that. And then we transitioned into a world of everybody's on social media. Everybody is promoting on social media. Yep. So, like, people don't even think about the things that people used to do to get noticed and get recognized. And now, like, I tell people, at the end of the day, you got to do both. But, like, a lot of times, people don't even realize how effective it is just walking up to a complete stranger. Yes. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to stand out more than the people on social media promoting, because people are like, wow, like, he stopped and talked to me. Exactly. He gave me a business card. He shook my hand. So a lot of times people will remember you more than the stuff that they see on social media, because people don't do that anymore.
Exactly. Because I had somebody ask me this. I had a couple people ask me this the other day. They're like, bro, how do you and your band, like, get all these gigs? Thing is, like, we haven't had that many gigs since we started. It's not like we playing at a whole bunch of different locations. We've kind of just been at the same consistent locations, dating back to last year. Right. It's just that we showed our face in those places multiple times. Yeah. It's like, yo, like, we at the Dewberry twice this month, or like we at Hotel Bennett 3 or 4 times over the next 2 months, or we're at the Charlestown Firmatory 3 times over the next 2 months. And the reason why we got those opportunities is because we went out and talked to those people. Like, shout out to Trevor from Charlestown Firmatory. I did a gig with artist friend of mine. His name's Ivory Keys. I played bass for one of the gigs that he did, and I saw the guy and I was like, yo, man, I was like, hey, man, I understand that you do the booking and the music here for this venue. I'd love to tell you more about my band, and, you know, hopefully we can get something on the calendar. Just that alone. I was there for my friend's gig playing as a musician. And then I was like, okay, during our break or after the gig's over, I'm gonna go talk to the booking manager and be like, yo, man, I want to get my band in here as well. Just from that alone, just me going to introduce myself to him, shake his hand, get his contact information, the connection's there. The connection's already there. The building blocks for that relationship is there. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then even like with the Dewberry Hotel, we got that opportunity because I had a musician friend of mine. His name is TK, Thomas Kennedy. He plays with Doom Flamingo, a bunch of other groups. Shout out to him. He called me one week and he was like, hey, man, I need a bass player to play with me at the Dewberry. And I was like, okay, word, man, I'm down. Yeah. And then that night that we had the performance, he gave me the contact information of the guy who booked him for the Dewberry. And he was like, you're gonna need his number because he's gonna pay you. Right. So I was like, okay, word. So I reached out to him, got my payment, and I was like, hey, didn't know him. I didn't even see his face yet. But shout out to Lee Barber, fantastic guitarist. Also had him on my podcast, Just Music, which I will get into a little bit. But I was like, hey, I understand that you booked TK and myself and a few other musicians for the Dewberry. I'd love to tell you about my group, show you some videos and things of us performing, and hopefully we can get in there. He was like, okay. And then boom, we started playing at the Dewberry. You know what I'm saying? So it's just not being afraid to put yourself out there. You never know, man. Yeah, you got to put yourself out there. You got to be willing to just. You gotta be, I say it all the time, you have to learn to be comfortable at being uncomfortable. A lot of people don't want to talk to people and
and go out there and talk to complete strangers
Yeah.
and just get into that uncomfortable. Like, you're never gonna grow if you're doing the same things.
Exactly.
And then a lot of people gotta realize that, like, the relationships that you have with people are gonna take you where you want to be at 9 times out of 10. Building those relationships, knowing the right people, and like who you know, like who you know and who knows you are like super important.
Yeah, man.
Super important.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but I know you don't have a lot of time, so we're gonna
Yeah.
keep it moving. Talk about, you said that you're producing, so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so with the production thing, I started teaching myself music production when I was 18. I was at College of Charleston still. And what I said was, I was listening to so much music, and I was starting to really, I was really developing my skills at trombone, bass guitar, and keyboard and piano at this point, and I was playing at a church.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really, developing my craft, and I was like, I always had a love and appreciation for music production, like listening to those songs that I listened to growing up,
Mm-hmm.
combined with, just going on YouTube and watching other producers make beats.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I want to get into, making beats and like making my own production. And so I think it was the summer of 2018, I went out and I bought me a MIDI keyboard.
Okay.
It was like $100, and it came with Ableton Live Lite. And at the time, I was using my laptop that I used for school
Mm-hmm.
to like practice making beats. Eventually, that laptop died. So I had to. The pandemic rolled up, so I used that laptop for like 2 years until 2020. Then the pandemic came,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, while everybody's in the house, I'm gonna get a job. I moved back home to, be with my mom because, we couldn't be on campus at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I moved back with my mom, and I'm gonna get a job, and I'm gonna save up to get a MacBook. I saved up, got a MacBook. I want to say I spent between like $1,300-$1,500 on that MacBook. So I was saving up all my checks from Sam's Club to buy a MacBook, and I still have that MacBook to this day, and it's been a game changer, a great investment for producing music. And I just really, really fell in love with it, and I love the science behind making beats too.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding, audio effects, understanding like compression, understanding gain, understanding like the technicality of like making the beats, like understanding quantization, velocity, putting certain components of a beat in a grid, and a bunch of nerdy stuff.
So you love all that.
Yeah, I like all of that, man.
Okay. Talk about you said you do everything, man. Talk about you doing lessons. You doing what? Was it guitar lessons or?
Yeah. So I do teach. So I am a music instructor for School of Rock up in Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
And I'm a music instructor for Music and Arts retail store. And I also do, private lessons, at different schools in the Tri-County area. And yeah, man, so I do teach. And I enjoy that because growing up, I didn't have a trombone instructor.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was playing trombone from 12 years old to now. I didn't have a trombone instructor until I was like 18 in college.
So you were teaching yourself?
Pretty much, because when I was doing band, my band director, he didn't teach us like music theory and all of that stuff, because that's just not what we were learning. That's just not what we learned. We were focusing on
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
we were focusing on the music that we had to play for concerts.
Yeah.
And if it was marching band season, we were focusing on light music. So we didn't really cut out the time to learn like chord progressions, learn more
I'm pretty
about.
sure that's how it is for a lot of schools.
Yeah, learn more about scales and all that. So during that time, I was teaching myself the basics of music theory. And then when I got to College of Charleston, I took the classes and I learned even more about it. And then took those 2 years worth of trombone classes, took those 2 years worth of piano classes. And, you know, like I said, throughout all of this, I'm teaching myself bass guitar, so I've never had a bass guitar lesson.
Yeah.
I've never had a music production lesson. And so I tell people, like, I'm pretty much a self-taught musician. But with teaching now, I like doing it because I like being that resource, that guide for young musicians, because I know I didn't have that growing up.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I enjoy it. It's very fun.
Okay. Like you said, you got the podcast. You brought me on for one episode.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. So talk about how the podcast started and all the things that y'all been doing with that.
Yeah, man. So shout out to my boy Marco and Campo. His DJ name is Millie Marco. I tell people this all the time, and Marco will tell you the podcast was his idea. It was 100% his idea. It was 2020 during the pandemic. He called me. He was like, "Hey, man, why don't we start a podcast?" And I was like, "A podcast? Do you even know like how to start about like what do we need a podcast for?" He was like, "You know, we can just talk about music, because the reason why Marco and I became friends was because of our passion for music. We met the first day of orientation at College of Charleston, and we connected instantly on music. I'm a musician, he's a DJ, but the love and the passion and the admiration that we have for music was so strong. Our friendship and our bond was really built off of that. And also, Marco's just a great guy. He's just a really cool guy, funny guy too. And 2020 happened. We formed the podcast September 2020, dropped our first episode in October. Fast forward to now, I think we got about 43 or almost 4,300 downloads in 3 years. And so we're still small, but we're consistent, man. That's the main thing that Marco and I are about, is consistency. Like putting out episodes every week. We got 101 episodes out right now, and then we took it a step further by getting our face out there, by putting on live events. So like live music events, we've done so far about we've done about 8 events so far.
That's the Boiler Room? Okay.
Yeah, with about 5 of those being the Boiler Room. So if you don't know what a Boiler Room is, just type in Google Boiler Room house music, because I can't really explain it all right now. But we partnered with Bodega Share House Charleston. Shout out to them. They've been very good to us, and we put together this event called a Boiler Room, and it's a very special event, man. Marco and I, we had no intentions of it, getting this far, but it's something that we really enjoy, and we're continuing to build it up. And we do other events too. Like last year, we did a party for our anniversary, our 3-year anniversary, and we've done other live music events. And we're gonna do even more this year, man. And we got more guests that are gonna come on the podcast that we're very excited to have.
Right.
And just continuing to build up that brand, that platform, that scale, because at this point, it's not just a podcast anymore. It's a community. You know what I'm saying? Marco and I, we care a lot about the music, the artists, the DJs, everybody involved in the music scene out here in Charleston, and we want to make sure those people have a platform. To express themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think that each of y'all bring to the table? Like when y'all come together, like what do you do and what does he do?
So it's funny because if you meet Marco and I, we're 2 totally different people. So Marco's more, he's from Boston. So he has more of that, somebody explained this the best. Somebody said it. We did an interview with DJs of Charleston. It was like, you either like Marco or you don't. And I don't say that as in like he's a bad person, but it's like he's more of he's gonna say
how he feels,
exactly how he says, what he wants to say, and he doesn't really care too much about who gets upset about it.
Right.
Which I like to say that I'm the same way, but I'm very more strategic with my delivery.
Right.
And so he brings that aspect of, I'm going to bring these opinions on whatever we're talking about with music, and I'm going to say it exactly how I want to say it. And if y'all get mad, y'all get mad. And it's never like, with the podcast, we don't ever, get into people's personal lives or get into drama. That we don't care about that. We care about the music.
Yeah.
So his takes on music will be a lot more direct and outlandish. Mine will be more level-headed. I'm weighing all of the different aspects of it.
Yeah.
And then I give you my take there. And then when we bring guests on the show, we make it all about them. We're like, yo, like, this is your interview. We not gonna ask you nothing weird or personal or anything like that. We're just gonna talk about the music. We're gonna talk about you and your career and some of your future aspirations and all of that. So it's very cool that we bring kind of those different aspects to the podcast.
Yeah. I had a good time, man. I enjoyed it. I appreciate y'all.
We enjoyed having you.
Yeah, man. Y'all watch it, man. Just music podcast, man. Y'all definitely check that out.
Yeah, man.
So let's talk about the big, scary goals, man.
Okay.
Like them goals that you look at like, I want these things to happen, but damn, they might not happen. But if they happen, like those big, scary goals.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I have a lot of those, man. I can probably share one. One is with the podcast. We said we want to do 10 to 15 events this year. That's a big goal, considering how many months are in a year.
Yeah.
Considering how much planning goes into an event.
Right.
So doing about 10, 15 events, which I believe we can definitely hit 10. But that 15...
Nah, man, I need bigger goals, man.
I mean,
I'm talking about Grammys. I'm talking like, come on,
okay,
man.
stuff
give
like
me
that. Okay,
some
gotcha.
Shit, some scary shit to be like,
okay.
Damn.
Definitely want to win a Grammy, man. With music. And with the podcast, Marco and I, we said this on the episode. We want to like attend the Grammys. Like I don't even know what that would look like. I don't think there's a podcast category at the Grammys. I don't think that exists.
I don't think so. At least not yet. But.
Yeah, but there's like podcast award shows.
Right.
And winning a Grammy, man, for me personally, that's something that I really, really want to do. Mm-hmm. I believe it'll happen. I don't know when, but I'm gonna continue to make music. I'm gonna continue to release music, and I'm still in like the early phases of my artistry, my solo career. Yeah. So it's not like something that's like on my mind every single day, but that's a big goal that I have. Right. To win a Grammy, and to like have hit records, like
producing or in the band, like
producing and as an artist.
Okay.
As an artist. And I go back to one of my good friends, Jorge. Like we talked about it, man. We're like, yo, man, like we really want to build up that band and like really do like big stuff with the band. Yeah. I don't know we don't know exactly how it all looks, but we know that we want to be the best musicians that we can be, and we want to achieve the highest of heights, the greatest levels of success. Yeah. So I know for me personally, as a musician, winning a Grammy is a big goal for me.
You're gonna get there, man.
And
you want it bad enough, you'll get it.
Yeah, and having hits, man, having hits as a producer. Like I'll be listening to some of my favorite songs. I'm like, bro, if I can create a hit like that, oh my gosh. Or like, if I have a song like that and I'm singing on it, and it's that good, like, bro, what?
You get there, man.
Yeah, man. I would say though that's a big scary goal for me. But I've gotten to the point where I'm not afraid to think big or dream big.
You'll never get there if you don't think about it.
Yeah, man. Cause I always tell people like, yo, think bigger, man. Y'all think too small, man. Like like, you know, Marco and I, and when you asked me, you was like, you know, where are you right now in life? And I was like, you know, I'm satisfied, but I'm not exactly where I want to be, man. I feel like I'm really just getting started. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just hitting the ground running. Like, bro, like there's so many plans and so many goals that I have. Like I keep a dream journal is what I call it. Like all my dreams, like all the cars I want to have, all of that stuff, and I look at it every day. Yeah. I look at my goals.
Vision board.
Exactly. I look at my goals that I have for the month and for the year, every single day. Marco and I, we did this last week. And this is something that we started making tradition. We go to a restaurant during restaurant week. Mm-hmm. We sit down and we talk about the podcast. What are some of the goals that we have for the podcast this year? No matter how far-fetched they may be, no matter how big they be, what are the goals that we have for this year, and what are the goals that we're gonna have for the next 3 to 5 years?
Right.
And I do that with my bandmates in my band, and I do that with myself. And not just for my goals in music, but personal growth, man. Like I want to become a better person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How do I want to grow my character, my personality, and like reading books. I read, man. There's a book I encourage everybody to check out. The Magic of Thinking Big.
I had the audiobook.
Yeah.
I dived in, but I haven't dived in all the way.
It's a great book, man.
Yeah.
And audiobooks are cool. I don't mind them, but I need that physical copy because I like to write notes, underline, and take pictures of it, and like have it in my like my affirmations journal and all of that stuff. So yeah, man.
Yeah, it's definitely what I listened to so far. It's definitely a good book, man.
Yeah.
Like mindset, the way that you think is a big thing, man. Like it starts with your mind. It starts with what you think. It starts with being positive. And then whatever you want to do next, it's possible. Like I think a lot of times, you know, like life be lifing, and you know, it's hard to think positive, and it's hard to have dreams and goals, and it's hard to get up every day and be like, this is hard, but I'm gonna strive for it anyways, man. Most of us are just trying to get by. So if you got those dreams, you got those goals, if you have that positive mind and you think about it, you ahead of the game, man.
Yeah, man.
You really are.
You gotta stay committed, man. And you gotta continuously feed. One of my mentors says this, you know, every day we feed from the neck down by eating food and drinking whatever, but you also gotta feed the neck up. You gotta feed that brain, man.
Yeah.
You gotta feed that brain because there's so many things every day that's trying to get your attention. And social media is such a double-edged sword. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of good things about it, but there's a lot of bad too. And you have to be so mindful of the things that you watch, the things that you hear, the things that you say. That's Bible talk. You know what I'm saying? And if you change the way you think, you change the way you speak, therefore changing how you live. You know what I'm saying? Too many people, they get so caught up in, oh, my life is this, I got this going on, I'm like, listen, man, your life is going to continue to be that way if you continue to put that energy out there. So you have to change the way you think, change the way you speak.
People don't realize that, like, that positive and negative is super impactful.
Yeah, man.
Like, people don't understand, like, if you're negative things are going to happen. If you're positive, a lot of positive things will happen. Like, it's true. Like, you can be in a bad mood and you're driving down the road and just being in that moment right there, you can be in such a bad mood. Now you're in an accident. Now your car totaled. Now you got to pay for a new car and you broke. You know, like that positive and negative is super. It's real.
Yeah, man.
It definitely is real.
You can't let one bad moment decide how your day's gonna go.
What's going on, guys? Sunfire Films here. If you made it this far into the interview, thank you. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Now let's get back to the interview. You're watching Sunfire Films TV. So, when you're old, super old, and gray. Oh shit! Hold on, I'm starting over.
Well, I want to keep my black hair, man.
Hold on. All right, I'm starting over. So when you're old and gray, sitting in that rocking chair, when you look back at your life, what do you want to see? And what do you feel like your purpose is in life?
Yeah. So when I'm old, definitely want to see that I did everything that I wanted to do in life, and I did everything that God put me on this earth to do, and that's pursue music at the highest level. You know, talk about winning that Grammy, having those hit records, making those classic, great bodies of work. Building the podcast up to a level that is, I mean, groundbreaking. I mean, I believe strongly that what we're doing right now is different. Like, I don't know of a podcast like us in Charleston that does what we do. I want to look and see that, you know, I changed my family's legacy in terms of building generational wealth, and not just having a bunch of money, but leaving a mindset and a standard in my family. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to see that none of my wife, my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, none of them have to struggle.
That generational wealth.
Yeah, that generational wealth, man. Be able to take care of my mom, take care of my dad, my family, friends, and just see that, you know, I built something that is going to last a lifetime, generations. And to look up, still be healthy, man, you know, grow old and still be healthy, still be able to move around, man.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, man, know that I made sure that I carried out the plan that God has for me. That's the ultimate thing, man.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate thing.
What do you feel like your purpose is?
To uplift people.
Yeah.
Uplift. I believe that's what God put us on this earth to do. To uplift people through whatever it is that you are passionate about, or whatever, you know, your gift is. I believe that, you know, I have many passions, but music is a big passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that God put me on this earth to uplift people through music, to uplift people through the podcast, and to uplift people through my words and my actions. Because that's you know, that's how we come closer together as people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, spreading that positivity, that love, you know what I'm saying? I believe that's truly my purpose. You know, I pride myself on being a good friend, a good brother, a good son, you know, eventually a good husband, good father, you know what I'm saying? Good bandmate, all of those things, man. Being a great person. Because people, when you die, man, people may not remember, you know, all of what you did or what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Right.
They'll be like, yeah, that guy, he was a great guy. He wasn't just a talented musician. He wasn't just, you know, an astute businessman. He was just a great person.
Right.
So yeah, man, that's what I want to be remembered for more than anything. Want to be remembered for all my great accomplishments, and all that, but being remembered as just a great guy, genuine, because we don't have enough people like that. You know what I'm saying? So many people, they try to take advantage or they try to get over on somebody. It's like, yo, man, just be a good person.
I love that, man. I love that.
I know you had some other questions though.
Yeah. So, what's the best piece of advice somebody ever taught you, or something you learned from somebody?
The best. Ooh, man, that's hard, man. Man, you asked me some really good ones. The best piece of advice. I would say, man, there's so many. I'm gonna go with this one. Be careful with who you take advice from and who you consider to be a mentor. You know, I think a lot of people have it confused on what exactly a mentor is. You know, some people will be like, oh yeah, my boss is my mentor, or like my coworker or whoever. And I've always kind of, you know, been this way, but I didn't really put it into perspective until my mentor told me, when you go to anybody for advice, it don't matter if it's for a career, relationship, whatever, the advice that you are taking from that person, you need to take into account what does their entire life look like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, if you have to take bits and pieces from everybody when it comes to advice. I'm not gonna go ask somebody who's been divorced 3 times, how do I sustain a happy, peaceful marriage?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna ask somebody that's never been a millionaire how to be a millionaire. I'm not gonna ask them that.
Right.
Because they don't know. They don't live the lifestyle that I live. And then
Mm-hmm.
even if you do, ask somebody who may be successful in music, like, hey, how do I get to where you are, man? They can give you that advice. But if they're not successful in other areas of their life, like, what's their family life like? Do they have a relationship with their kids, their wife?
Mm-hmm.
Are they a good person? You know what I'm saying? Be careful, because if you listen to their advice and take in all the things that they're saying that you should do, you can very well end up living that same lifestyle that they have.
Right, that's true.
So being wary of who you listen to and who you take advice from, who your mentor is. That's some of the greatest advice I've ever been given.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, what is one thing that people don't know about you, or not a lot of people know about you, or something that might be a misconception that people think this about you, but it's not necessarily true?
Dang. That's a good one. I guess my age, man. When I meet people, they just look at how I look, and they say, man, he looks like he's 19, 20 years old. Because I have this young face, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a whole lot of facial hair. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm like 24. So I guess at my age, a lot of people think that I'm like 19, 20 years old based off how I look. But then when they hear me speak, they're like, oh, wait, he sounds a lot older than he looks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say my age. Probably one of the biggest misconceptions.
Okay. Last, I know you got to get out of here, so definitely give your contacts and give any other kind of information you want to give to the people. Yeah.
If y'all want to continue to keep up with me, you can follow me on social media, Instagram. That's Jailan AWS. That's Jailan AWS. You can also follow me on Facebook, Jailan Williams, Jailan, last name Williams. And to keep up with my band, the JP Band, you can follow us on Instagram, only one JP Band, and on Facebook, JP Band. And to keep up with my podcast with Marco, you can follow us on Instagram at Just Music Podcast. That's JUS Music Podcast. And you can find all of our content there. And we also have a website. You can just type that in Google, jusmusicpodcast.com. And yeah, man, thank you so much for this opportunity, man.
I appreciate you, man. Once again, if you don't know the face by now, I am Sunfire Films. I got Jailan Williams with me, and you're watching Sunfire Films TV.
That's my daddy.